Grace and peace to you from God, the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Amen. Those of you who know me well, and plenty of you do, know that I really love Christmas. I love Christmas carols, I love winter and cold, and I love the presents, and I get a little weird around our house. I have to go rearrange the presents under the Christmas tree later today because I have to. I love Christmas, and I always have. But as Nick pointed out with his joke that only three people who've graduated from seminary in here, maybe more, would get, today is not Christmas yet. It's the fourth Sunday in Advent. Tonight's Christmas Eve. Come back. Advent is this incredible season of waiting. We light one candle each week, waiting and anticipating and hoping and waiting. And here we are on literally what everybody else is saying is Christmas Eve. And we're saying, not yet. Hold on. We got to get through Advent. We have to finish our waiting. I married well. I married somebody else who enjoys thinking about and anticipating just as much as I do. And this year, Silas and I decided we wanted to make Christmas dinner for our family. We didn't decide this a few weeks ago. We didn't decide this a couple days ago. We decided it like 3 months ago. And we have been planning it for those 3 months. We love to sit around and think about what we will make and how we will do it. We have a schedule. It's great. Love schedules. I love this kind of thing, and I'm looking forward to the finishing. We started yesterday, finishing cooking Christmas dinner. But we spent this time of Advent anticipating. We spent this time thinking about what would come next, thinking about how it would be, thinking about how it would taste, thinking about how Christmas morning would look. There will be wrapping paper everywhere, thinking about all these things and waiting with joy and waiting with anticipation. But Advent is not just about waiting for the morning we can open our presents. Advent is not just about waiting for the day when you get to cook for your family. Advent is not even just about waiting for the days when your family comes home from far away and you get to be together again. Advent is about waiting for God. We all have times in our lives where we will look around the world and say, "Where are you, God?" Because I'm not seeing it. We may look at the news some days and say, "Yep, pretty sure you weren't there, God. I don't see it." We may look at our families or our relationships. We may look at times when we don't have a job when we should, or times when people are going hungry and say, "What is going on? Where are you, God? Where is this promised fixing of everything? Why isn't everything just better?" We've been doing that sort of waiting for thousands of years. Mary wasn't actually a Christian, because Jesus hadn't been born yet. She was Jewish. And they had this incredible tradition and this incredible way of waiting for the Messiah, the chosen one, for God to come into the world and make everything different. But I can tell you this, I bet Mary was not expecting to be so involved. When we do that kind of waiting, she's alone in a town, a little bitty town of no consequences, way far away from the capital, way far away from all the important things are going on. Sure, she's waiting for a Messiah, but she's waiting for him to show up over there. She's waiting for him to go and make things right over there. She's got her plans. She's going to get married. She's going to have kids. She's going to live her life as a normal Jewish woman in this little town of no consequence. She was in a time of waiting, but it wasn't waiting for this. She was betrothed. She was waiting to get married. She was waiting to start her adult life. She was waiting for her very normal way of doing things. And sure, in her devotional life, she was waiting for the Messiah. But then all of a sudden, this angel shows up and says, "Hey, Mary, have I got some news for you? Yes, the Messiah is coming, and it's going to be a lot closer to home than you think." Now, I can't imagine what it is like to have a messenger from God show up and say, "Surprise, you're pregnant." It would be a little unsettling. And so we all know that one of the first things the angel says, he shows up, he says, "Greetings, Mary." And then probably seeing the look on her face, he's like, "Don't be afraid. It's going to be okay." And we see this all throughout the Bibles. When the angel shows up, they always have to say, "Don't be afraid. It's going to be okay." The angel shows up to the shepherds, and they literally cower in fear because messenger from God in the sky. It's kind of scary. The angel shows up to Joseph in a dream and says, "Don't be afraid." Angels would show up to God's people in the Old Testament and have to do the same thing. Don't be afraid. I used to always think that message for "don't be afraid" was just at the thought of this messenger from God showing up, this angel showing up, because that would be startling. But today, as I'm thinking about Mary and where she was in this season of waiting, and all of a sudden her waiting was getting drastically changed, I think maybe it was a little bit of a message for the rest of her life. Mary, you are going to give birth to the Son of God. Don't be afraid. Mary, your first child is going to be able to perform miracles. Is going to be the one to save your people. Don't be afraid. Mary, probably not everybody in your village will believe you that this is God's son and not just some random person's who wasn't Joseph's. Don't be afraid. Yes, Mary, this is going to be hard. I personally have never been pregnant, but if you have, or if you know someone who has been, you know it's not easy. I've never raised a child, but I have been a child, and I know it's not always easy. It's going to be hard, but don't be afraid. The angel's not just telling Mary not to be afraid of him showing up in all this glory to change her life drastically forever. The angel is saying, God is coming here now in a way you probably weren't expecting, but don't be afraid. I think that message still stands true for us. You see, it's not that God isn't showing up in our world. It's probably that God is showing up in ways we were not expecting. There are parts of us, or at least I know there's a part of me that would like God to just swoop in, make everybody be nice, get along, stop hurting each other, and make everything good. Over there. Without too much direct involvement from me. But it turns out we have this wonderful story that shows that that's not what God does. God shows up here with you in ways that might change your life forever, in ways that might lead some people to talk about you behind your back in ways you don't love, in ways that are sometimes scary because they're uncertain, that are sometimes scary because you don't know what's going to happen next, and you had plans, and all of a sudden those plans are gone. A lot of you know my story. You know that I'm working at the VA right now as a chaplain. I love the work I'm doing, but it was not my plan. You see, there's an order of things when you graduate seminary. You in your senior year, you get assigned, you get a bishop, you get some church calls, some church letters, you pick a church, they pick you, you're all good, you get ordained, you go on. Nick didn't follow that plan perfectly correctly. I'm not following that plan perfectly correctly either. Apparently, God is not great at sticking to the plan. So instead, because I fell in love and wanted to get married and actually live in the same place as my husband instead of far, far away from him, I am being a chaplain. And I work with people I never expected to work with. I have no connection to the military except for through my work. And now I meet veterans every day in hospitals, in this vulnerable place, and I say, don't be afraid. God is here. And sometimes I need to hear the message too, because let me tell you, this program I'm in, it's called CPE. I was once told that the point of CPE is crying, and therefore I'm making an A in it. Because I had a day I cried for about 24 hours just a couple weeks ago. It's fine. We're good. I'm fine. But it's not easy. And it's not easy to walk into these rooms and to see these people and share with them and know that they're going to be gone in 3 days, because we don't actually want to keep you in the hospital longer than necessary. And I had a day a few weeks ago where I had a wonderful visit with a wonderful man, and then I had to watch him die. It is important for us to hear those words. Do not be afraid. It's not that it's going to be easy. It's not that God's going to come in and swoop down and make everything good. But God will be here. God is in those hospital rooms where I walk in going, I don't know what I'm doing. Why are you sending me? This is a terrible idea. God is in this church as you grow and as you expand your wings and as you reach out into the community around you. God is there when you make all your plans, and God says, wait, I got something even better. I'm showing up right here in a surprising way. So here, as we continue to wait, as we continue to look around the world and say, all right, God, where are you? We work every year to hope to see, not looking for God how we expect God will show up, but looking to be surprised. Looking to realize that God is so much closer than we expected. Looking to realize that God is right here in you now. That plans will change. That God will steer you ways you weren't expecting and didn't really want. And that it's not always going to be easy. But do not be afraid. As you wait for God, know that God is here in you. God is with you every minute, because we have this God who came into the world in as real and tangible way as possible, and that God sends God's Spirit out to us every day through every walk of life we have. Sure, God will surprise you, and God's not going to do all the work of fixing this world on God's own. But do not be afraid. God is with you through this. Amen.